So there's this new documentary out on Peacock about the Casey Anthony trial and what happened. And it's notably one of the first times that she's sat down and done like a long form interview. The direction that this whole entire documentary seems to go, from what I've gathered and heard about, is that Casey is kind of painting her side of the story, and that, maybe the blame lies somewhere else. The reason I say that I speculate that is because I haven't watched it yet, and I'm not entirely sure if I want to watch it, my friends. You'll have to make that decision yourself, whether or not you're curious enough to actually tune into it. But you have to understand that Casey Anthony probably stands to profit significantly from this documentary, and so you'll have to consider that before you decide to watch it or not. This documentary is looking back at the 2011 trial of Casey Anthony after what happened, unfortunately, to her 2-year-old daughter, Kaylee. Now, that case was huge at the time. It was one of the biggest cases of the century, for sure. It was all over the place. She was charged with the death of her child and the murderer. And she was acquitted. She was found not guilty of that charge, or a few charges. However, she was found guilty of 4 charges of providing police with false information. And we have to look back at that and consider a lot of what happened, my friends. She told police a number of things that did not happen. Kaylee was not reported missing for about a month to authorities. It's really strange that a mother would not, immediately act on this. There's been accusations that Casey had stolen a checkbook in that time and used it to purchase apparently things that are not appropriate for children, that she was out partying. There's pictures out there that she was pretty much out living life. She had apparently got a tattoo that means the good life within weeks after her daughter went missing. Does that sound like something that a mom or a parent would do when their child is gone? It just doesn't add up, my friends. The false information to authorities is all over the place as well. At one point, investigators were probing Casey Anthony on where she had worked at, and she had created this whole entire story about how she worked at Orlando studios. And so they kind of don't believe that at all. They don't see any evidence that that's the case. So she agrees to take them to Orlando studios, into the offices, and show them her office. So they actually go there. They're walking up, and she's like waving to employees there, and they have no idea who she is and what's going on. And she takes them down this hallway into these offices, comes to a dead end, and finally comes clean to them that, she made it up, that she didn't work there. And, at that point, she's arrested for providing false information to authorities in this investigation about what's happening. It's all really shady. What ends up happening is she starts to explain that her father, when she was younger, had done some horrible things to her and abused her, and that later on her brother also had done horrible things to her. And the father, of course, and the brother both adamantly denied that that ever happened, but it's, one person's word against another person's word, or people's words. And she believes that her father likely had started abusing Kaylee as well, and she kind of paints this picture that she believes her father ultimately is the person who ended Kaylee's life. Now, you can check out the documentary if you would like to. I'm not convinced that it's something I even want to partake in, just knowing that, it's something that kind of propagates stories that she's feeding. But it's also important that we consider all sides of the story as well. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. And do you think Casey Anthony is innocent?